In a slightly weird yet comical world, zombies aren't vicious cannibal types. Instead, they're called the living-impaired. Local undead who don't like eating humans, but are still treated as second-class citizens. They're socially discriminated against, forced to live in designated zones, seen as a burden, and subject to strict collection rules run by a big corporation called Coleman Corporation. We're introduced to our two main characters, Carl and his loyal friend Freddy. One day, Maggie, Carl, and Freddy receive a shady mission. They disguise themselves as zombie collectors from Coleman Retirement Services to pick up an unwanted zombie at a family home. But things spiral out of control when the zombie infects a family member. They're forced to drag it away, and in the struggle, the zombie's head comes off. Not long after they leave, two actual Coleman employees arrive to pick up the zombie, but they're too late. Carl and Freddy have already taken it to sell to a private collector. They only get half the price, since the zombie's head is missing. Meanwhile, Hannity, an executive at Coleman Corporation, is furious that Maggie and her crew are claiming too many zombies. Because of this, Stanley and Rocco's salaries are withheld, and they're fined $25,000. Enraged, Stanley and Rocco kidnap Carl and Freddy during their next job, even threatening to abduct Carl's grandmother. They torture them until they pass out. When they wake up, Maggie is there and thinks they're just drunk, but they realize it's real when Carl finds a cassette recording of the kidnapping of his grandmother. The kidnappers demand a $50,000 ransom. Desperate, Carl, Freddy, and Maggie hatch a plan. Borrow money from Otto, one of their regular buyers of stolen zombies. They find Otto enjoying a zombie execution with a chainsaw, and afterward, he invites them to his home. Carl is shocked to see Otto's prized collection, including Zelvirella, a beautiful zombie Carl has secretly used for his private fantasies. Turns out Otto is also her fan, and a total weirdo. Otto agrees to help, but only if they steal the corpse of famous actress Debbie Jones, who once played Zelvirella. At a Coleman-owned cemetery, Maggie hacks into the system and realizes they're being watched by CCTV, forcing them to act fast. But Debbie's body is too decayed to use, and the noise they make draws security. In the chaos, Carl is shot. Meanwhile, Hannity is running a secret project called Project Zoltan, an experimental gas designed to turn zombies back into savage, feral monsters. But the first demo fails spectacularly. The zombie's head explodes. His boss, Bob Coleman, cancels the project. Hannity, however, keeps it alive in secret. After Bob dies in a bizarre sex swing accident, he reanimates as a zombie. Hannity seizes the opportunity to control the company, testing the gas on Bob and Dr. West, proving it makes zombies savage and violent. While this unfolds, Carl's grandmother is dancing cheerfully with one of the kidnappers. Stanley calls Freddy about the ransom. Freddy nearly puts the call on speaker but hangs up by accident. Luckily, they call back, and Maggie realizes the voice belongs to her ex, who works for Coleman. He demands the $50,000 ransom or Grandma dies. Carl asks for proof she's alive, but during the call, Rocco accidentally drops his gun and it goes off, shooting Grandma. Maggie suggests finding another woman who looks like their target. Freddy proposes abducting one of the zombies Carl has been watching for his fantasies. Carl knows how, by booking a massage session where she works. He signs up as a platinum member, and when he's alone in the room with her, Maggie and Freddy climb up to spy from outside. A guard notices the extra players and demands they pay extra. Carl convinces him they're supposed to be there, and the zombie woman realizes they plan to free her. Touched, she starts to like Carl as her rescuer. On their way out, they accidentally hit another zombie with their car. Afraid of police attention, they panic. When a cop shows up and kindly reassures them it happens often with zombies crossing the street, Carl misunderstands and thinks he's a threat. He knocks the cop unconscious. Maggie and Freddy are shocked. Assaulting a cop is a huge crime. They dump him by the roadside. Everything builds up to Automatix's big gala opening, a performance art showcase. Maggie, Carl, Freddy, and Jane attend, with Jane dressed as Zelvirella. But Hannity unleashes the Zoltan gas into the gallery, turning the attending zombies into wild monsters. When Otto tries to get close to the zombie woman, Carl gets jealous. The promised $50,000 ransom deal falls apart. Otto rages, but suddenly an infected zombie bursts in and devours him brutally. Chaos erupts. Maggie impales a feral zombie's head. Carl smashes another with Otto's bat and Jane fights back with glitter and spit. Meanwhile, Dawn tries to escape with the ransom money but is cornered by zombies. A wild, gory slapstick brawl erupts. Heads explode, guts fly. Carl even battles a giant multi-armed zombie like something out of Mortal Kombat. In the middle of the madness, Hannity kidnaps Jane. But Stanley, disguised as a guard, double-crosses Hannity to take the money. Hannity tries to shoot them, but his gun is empty. Freddy uses the chance to finish him off. Maggie then revs up a chainsaw and decapitates Hannity, his head flying into Jane's arms before she tosses it into the trash. Freddy is injured, but the bullet hit the engagement ring box he was carrying for Maggie, saving his life. A wild romantic twist in the chaos. Stanley escapes with the ransom briefcase, but he gets bitten in the ass by a zombie. Meanwhile, Grandma has turned into a zombie too, but she isn't feral, suggesting some zombies remain controlled. The world is rapidly collapsing. The Zoltan gas has triggered a massive outbreak, widening the gap between humans and the living impaired. In just 2 weeks, feral zombie numbers skyrocket. The final scene shows Maggie, Carl, Freddy and Jane gathered in Freddy's uncle's diner, trying to survive. Outside, feral zombies line up in chaotic masses. Among them is Stanley, now infected but still clutching the briefcase of ransom money, wandering the wasteland.